Hey, Tuesday morning. Thanks for coming along with me on my morning walk. Again, another fantastic May morning. Uh, the sun is just over the horizon. The camera always kind of exaggerates because it's trying to add light, you know? It's really darker than it appears on your camera. I mean, anytime you can see where there's lights on in the parking lot, that tells you how dark it really is. But yes, this tree over here, beautiful. The buds, look at this thing. Isn't that pretty? Oh, the blossoms on it are just fantastic. This is the time of year again that gets me all excited and warmed up, and I'm ready to rock and roll. So today I want to get a little dangerous, I guess. You know, when I do these morning walks and I talk about a particular topic or subject, I try really hard to present it to you from my experience, you know, my point of view, from my perspective, you know. My situation of being overweight for your entire life, you know. There's a lot of people like me. Part of this is the fact that I don't have scientific studies to back me up about what I'm going to say here. Again, it's just me knowing how I work, how things go on up here. I just know from a very young age, having two adopted brothers who didn't have sweet tooths, and I had one biological brother who, as kids, the two of us, we loved the sugary foods, Captain Crunch, the Quisp cereal. We used to call, you know, it used to be sugar smacks, they used to call it then. Anyway, so the sweetened cereals, the candy, we had the sweet tooths, they didn't. So it always, as a little kid, always made me wonder, why is it that sugar seemed to have a difference for us? Now, as I've gotten older, and now more recently, as you know from this journey, it makes me wonder if that neurodivergence doesn't in fact extend into other parts of the pleasure centers of the brain, such as the way sugar sparks dopamine. It'd be interesting to do a study to people with sweet tooths and neurodivergence. I'm really curious. Is there an overlap there? So, what am I trying to say? Yesterday, I came across a post on one of my favorite influencers, and he made a comment about how people slam him with statements, you know, referring to sugar addiction, and that it's worse than cocaine addiction, heroin addiction, fentanyl addiction, meth addiction. And he was like, no, it can't possibly be. And I agree with him. And in the comments, people were like, they get so mad when people talk about sugar addiction because this person in their family or that person in their family died from cocaine or whatever. And that obviously is pretty horrible. But I think they're missing the point. I think when he's getting these people who say worse than, what they're trying to tell him is, you can stop the cocaine, the fentanyl. You can stop the meth. There's the opportunity to recover from that. Sure, it may kill you, but you can stop it and go on with your life. People do it all the time. Try doing that with sugar. Sugar is an absolute biological necessity. So for those of us who may have, in fact, have a difference of our dopamine, again, I wish we had more studies on this. To say to me, just don't eat sugar, like you would with cocaine or fentanyl or heroin or, that ain't possible. You've got to have something. You've got to have some carbohydrate to survive, to live. Try telling somebody with a cocaine addiction, oh, you can have a little bit of cocaine every day. I think that's what we're trying to say here. The worse than is because we're constantly having to need it. And you get a little bit and you want more. But then some people aren't wired that way to understand how that is. That gets to the bigger picture of this whole thing. Why some people don't have a weight problem to begin with could very well be for the things I'm just saying. You get a sugar addiction, your brain is wired differently, you become used to that dopamine, you crave it, you want it. From my own personal experience, that's just how it's been. I'm trying to explain that to people who've never had a weight problem, who've never had a sugar addiction problem. That's hard. They don't seem to understand because they don't know. So, I'm being a little controversial today, but that's how I've always felt. That's how I've always understood it. With, again, my family, a little biological experiment with two brothers being adopted without the sweet tooth and two with. Yeah. We need more studies. We need more empathy. We're not all exactly the same up here. We know this. The whole concept of having a sweet tooth tells us this, for Pete's sake. So, be kind. Understand that just because I say that something is more difficult for me, it could very well be the case. It may not be that way for you. Have a great one. Bye for now.